he drops his bag on this man's head. Previously on, and she's clickety clacking on the keyboard, even though outside does not look very weathery-ish. I couldn't even bend down to get into my bunk. Very unconventional. It's heavy bags, a lot of bags, both. Hey crew, welcome back to my channel for another video. For those of you who are new, my name is Bridgette. I am sorry, take number 2. I am a flight attendant for a major US carrier, and I'm going back to work. It's been a while since I worked. I've had a lot of things going on in my personal life. So I haven't been vlogging, I haven't been working, and it is now time to go back to work. I'm on call for 3 days. I have 5:45 p.m. airport standby, and it is currently 12:05. So I need to head out. I was supposed to leave at 12, but it is what it is. That's about it. I haven't looked at open time to see what potential prospects are available, but we'll get into all of that once I get settled and hopefully once I get to the airport. So I'll see you in the next clip. Hey crew, so I just made it to the airport, and this is my second time being random in a row. Like I told you, I don't think it's random. Good morning crew. This is not how I planned to come back and speak to you guys, especially since I ended so abruptly yesterday when I last spoke to you in the airport in DC. But if you haven't noticed, it is the next day. A lot has happened since I last spoke to you. I did tell you guys that I had 5:45 p.m. airport standby. I was assigned a 2-day trip for today initially when I signed in for my airport standby, and that quickly changed to being assigned a 2-day trip for yesterday, which obviously if they assign me something for that same day, they have to take away the trip that they assigned for today, if that makes sense. So they assigned me a Fort Lauderdale 2-day yesterday while I was sitting airport standby to work 1 leg to Fort Lauderdale, have a short layover, and dead head back today. Fun fact, this is my first international domestic trip pretty much for the summer, because I've been getting lucky to work international trips. So that was interesting. You know, I have a love-hate relationship with Florida flights. So once I was assigned the trip, typically for us on your rotations, depending on the rotation, not to get too technical, your report time, meaning the time you need to be at the gate, is an hour prior to the departure of the flight. So the crew scheduler calls me and he's like, "Hi, is this Bridgette?" And I'm like, "Yes." He's like, "I have a rotation for you. Your report time is 8:08 p.m. And I said, "Okay, thank you." I'm going about my business. At that point, it was like 6 something. So I was like, oh, I have like over an hour. Like I could still sit at the empty gate I'm sitting at and enjoy my TikToks. But something told me to look at the rotation and not just follow what I heard on the phone. So I look at the rotation, and like he said, in 8:08 report time. But when I pull up the full rotation, why is the flight departing at 8 p.m.? So I'm like, that doesn't make any type of sense. How am I reporting after the departure of the flight? So I call crew scheduling back and I'm like, hey, I'm not sure if it's just a like overlook, an error or something like that, but it's showing my report time as past the departure time. And he's like, oh yeah, like let me fix that right now. Your report time will be 7 o'clock. Like I said, an hour before. So cool. I make my way over to Terminal 2. I get to the gate. I meet the other crew members. We're speaking to the gate agent. We're trying to scan on to go down to the plane. And the gate agent is like, none of your names are on this flight. Like, I can't let you down because your names aren't on this. Like, it has different people's names. So she's calling people to try and figure it out. We're just standing there. And as we're standing there, the flight delays until 10 p.m. And mind you, this flight has already been delayed. sorry. If you see me struggling, I'm trying to put my blanket back into its little pouch. Hopefully by the time you see this vlog, my Amazon travel favorites video will be out, and that I can link it right here for you guys to watch if you didn't check it out already. But this is one of the things that I have on that video that I share with you guys that is like one of my newfound loves. So anywho, back to my story. So it's delayed until 10. She sorts out the situation of our names not being on there, and then we're finally able to go down to wait on the plane to figure out what's the next step. So sure enough, it really was delayed until 10. The crew and the pilots, meaning the flight attendants and the pilots, names changed about 4 or 5 times from the time of 7 p.m. to the time we left. So it was really chaotic. And then on the flight itself, you know, I like to write my notes, so I have my notes to share with you guys. Fort Lauderdale, Miami can be a tough crowd in general, but I feel like from New York to Fort Lauderdale, Miami, or Florida in general, it's a really patience tester crowd. So we're boarding the flight. For the most part, everyone is very thankful that we're there. They're like, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for getting us to Fort Lauderdale. Like, thank you for taking us to Fort Lauderdale. And it's fine, you know, it's nice to be thanked, you know. So we continue boarding, and this passenger boards the flight, and he's like, I want a pillow. I said, excuse me? I wanted to make sure I heard him properly, because other people were talking at the same time. He's like, I want a pillow. I said, I'm sorry, we don't have pillows on this flight. I said, did you just come in from an international flight? Because on our international flights, everyone gets pillows. So he was like, no. I said, well, we don't have pillows on domestic flights. And he's like, well, I want a pillow. So him repeating that over and over, now the lady in front of him stops the whole boarding process, pushes her way back up, and she's like, well, I want a pillow too. I said, we don't have any pillows. He's like, well, if you find a pillow, it's for me. I'm like, sir, we don't have any pillows. And you see the trouble you're causing? You're now having other people stop boarding to ask for pillows. So he thought it was funny. We continue boarding. We're now at the end of boarding, and I'm going through closing overhead bins, and this gentleman is putting his bag up in one of the open spaces. Cool, that's no problem. Like no other flight, that's what you do. That's the norm. As he's putting his bag up, he drops his bag on this man's head. So I jump, because now I'm concerned about the gentleman who got the bag dropped on his head. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So the man literally just picks up his bag and puts it back in the overhead bin. Doesn't say sorry, doesn't say excuse me, doesn't ask the man that he just dropped his bag on his head, is he okay? The man who got the bag dropped on his head is looking at him like, are you serious right now? So the man who dropped the bag just puts the bag in the overhead bin, closes the bed, and sit down. So now I'm going up to the passenger who got hit with the bag, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, are you okay? He's like, yeah, I'm fine. I said, are you sure? Because I can get you water or something. He's like, no, I'm fine, thank you. Thanks for asking, I'm fine. It's just he's rude. Like, he didn't say sorry or anything like that. Hold on, you guys. Okay, sorry, I'm back now. As you guys can see, I'm trying to multitask and get ready while talking to you guys. So the whole thing is like shocking to me. Like, you don't have the decency or the manners to apologize. Like, you dropped your heavy bag. Clearly it was heavy because you couldn't hold it to put it into the overhead bin, that you end up dropping it on someone, let alone on someone's head. Like, you can't just say, excuse me, I'm so sorry, like, I apologize. You don't say anything. The guy ended up being okay. We continue on. We're finally leaving the gate after many hours of being delayed, and we're now starting service. So if you guys don't know, the carts that we push through the aisle can be upwards of 200 to 250 pounds, I believe. So that's heavy. I can only speak for myself and say, I can't lift 250 pounds. I don't know about everyone else, but that's just not in my weight bracket. That's not something that I can just brag that I can lift 250 pounds. So pushing the carts, especially on an incline, can be quite difficult. So we're pushing the carts through, you know, we're warning, cart coming through, and we make it halfway up the aisle, and the cart is stuck, like it's not moving. And we're trying to figure out like, why is the cart stuck? So we move the cart back, we pull it forward, try and pull it forward again, it's stuck again. So a passenger puts on his flashlight to help us. Why is someone's shoe stuck in the middle of the cart wheels? And it's literally wedged in between the two wheels, so we can't pull it out. So we had to keep pushing the cart back and forth, back and forth. And we're like, whose shoe is this? Like, why is your shoe in the aisle? No one's responding. That's the end of that story. Next story, we're going through. Remember, I just announced we're saying cart coming through during service. So we're towards the end of our service and we're in the back. And one thing that I don't like, another PSA, public service announcement, is I'm on the cart, right? And there's someone literally on my back. Please back up off of my neck. You don't have to be that close to me. That is one of my biggest pet peeves. I do not like that. I'm really big on personal space. So this lady is, any inch I take to move forward to get something, she's right on my back. When I step back, it's like I'm pushing into her because she's so close to me. So I had to turn around and be like, is there something going on? Can I help you? She's like, oh, I just want to see my kids. And I'm like, okay, but I need you to back up because I keep running into you, meaning that you're too close to me. And she's like, oh. She backs up. I start trying to help the next person. She moves forward again. It's on my heels again. I'm like, ma'am, I need you to back up. I need space to serve these people. And you being on my heels, I can't do that. After I'm finished speaking to her, this gentleman stands up and has his foot up on the armrest, like basically in my view, halfway in the aisle. So now he's blocking me from serving the people in the aisle, like at the row that I was at properly. So I'm looking at him like, what is going on? The other flight attendant that's on the cart with me is looking at him like, what is going on here? So he, like, I guess he gets the hint that we're staring at him like, there's no way that I can do service with you in the aisle like this, that he sits down. And when I get to his row or get to serve him, he's like, I need a bag of ice because you hit my leg with the cart. Mind you, the cart has not moved at all. I said, I surely can get you a bag of ice once we get to the back because I don't have any bags on this cart. But I didn't even address the hitting the leg because that was the same passenger who was asking for pillows. And what I forgot to say was before we left and we were doing our compliance check, he didn't have his seatbelt on. And I was like, hi, sir, I need you to put your seatbelt on. He's like, I'll put it on when you give me a pillow. So I don't know if this was just a ploy to complain. Like, I'm not sure, you guys. But I can honestly say 100%. I did not hit him with the cart. I spoke to the other flight attendant who was on the cart with me. She said she did not hit him with the cart. So I'm not sure where he got that from. I don't know. So it was just a bit bizarre. And then the final thing, which was strange, which, you know, I don't know the background to it. I don't know the logistics. We flew into Fort Lauderdale, but we laid over in Miami. So we drove literally from Fort Lauderdale Airport to Miami Airport to stay at a hotel across the street from Miami's airport. So to go back today, we have to do the same. And I'm not sure if I said we're dead heading back, but I've been flapping my gums for way too long. I will speak to you guys in the next clip. And ready. I have 3 minutes to get downstairs for the hotel for a pickup, but I wanted to tell you guys that they awarded me an Aruba turn for tomorrow that I am hopefully, crossing my fingers, knock on wood, going to be able to drop because it is a high time turn. And fun fact, if I am not able to drop, knock on wood, the last time I went to Aruba was when I was with my previous airline, and I did a story time on that. So if you haven't watched that story time, I'll link it right here. It is pretty old, but it is an interesting story. So make sure you guys go and watch that. But that's about it. So I'm about to head out. And yeah, so I'll see you guys in the next clip. Hey crew, so just in the blink of an eye, My schedule has changed, and this is a good example of flight attendant life. So like I told you in the last clip, I had an Aruba turn that I put up for drop. Well, from the time me leaving the hotel room to coming into the lobby waiting for the van with my crew, someone picked up the trip. So technically today is my last on-call day, and because my rotation ended with a deadhead, there's a feature we have called deviation where you can basically say you don't want to take the deadhead and find your own way either back to base or to home. So I did that and I was approved for my deviation. So now, like I said, we're near the Miami airport. I'm going to try and go home from Miami instead of driving to Fort Lauderdale. So I'm by myself. The crew headed on to Fort Lauderdale because they still have one more on-call day. They were not used or assigned a trip. Assignments of trips are done by seniority, and they were all senior to me. So I was assigned first, obviously, because I was the most junior, and I just got lucky enough that someone picked up my last day assignment. So I'm going to be trying to catch a 3:29 flight on another airline. I will keep you guys updated as to how this goes. So I'll see you in the next clip.